Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who watched my video last week, you will have seen that I needed to gain weight this week to get back into target. So what I chose to do was to have 2 A choices every day, 2 B choices every day, and between 10 and 12 sins. I managed the 2 A's and the 2 B's, and I managed to average 10 sins a day. If you're on the weight loss journey, you might think how easy it is to add sins to your daily food intake. When you're at maintain and you've learnt to eat slightly differently, well, I can only speak for myself, but I've got to the place now where it wouldn't work for me to just stick a couple of biscuits in or a chocolate bar. I don't crave those kind of foods anymore, but I did have the 10 sins a day and I did get the result I wanted. I got a £1 gain, which is exactly what I was planning. I'm now back into the bottom of my target at 9 stone 11, £3 under target. And I have enjoyed food this week because I've reintroduced 1 or 2 things I thought I wasn't keen on and given them a try. And specifically those things are fish and sweet potatoes. I did have a bit of rice, but that doesn't really float my boat anymore. I did follow Joe's example and bake new potatoes. Now, rather than buying rounded ones, Joe tends to buy the longer, slimmer ones, and he buys organic ones from, I think it was Tesco's, Joe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. They bake in 30 minutes in the oven, and they are delicious. Now, I used to avoid sweet potatoes because I thought they'd be quite fibrous and I wouldn't like them. But they've been gorgeous this week, and I've been splitting them open and putting my 45-gram allowance of feta cheese in them. And when you eat them, it's almost like they've got butter on. They're so buttery and nice. So that's something I'd recommend, and sweet potatoes are a good free food. And the other thing I've looked at this week is introducing more fish into my diet. Not the world's greatest fish eater. I prefer vegetarian food, if I'm totally honest. But this week we did find in Aldi fresh sockeye salmon steaks, wild sockeye salmon, at $4.99 for 2, and fresh yellowfin tuna steaks at $4.99 for 2. They both were lovely. I also had some dressed crab, which I really enjoyed. And last night we had swordfish, which again, you know, bit more variety into the diet, but thoroughly enjoyed it. So got what I wanted, £1 gain. Happy with that, and happy to move on this week, continuing with 2 A's, 2 B's, 10 sins, and still loving my food. Good group as ever, £267 lost between the 2 groups this morning. And lots of talk about really inspiring weight losses. Now, the lady who won Slimmer of the Week had lost 4.5 pounds. We've had a lot of newcomers in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it wasn't a newcomer. The lady who got Slimmer of the Week with 4.5 pounds was a lady who's been around for nearly a year with steady weight losses, but upped her speed this week. And one of the things we've been looking at in group is focusing more on upping speed via vegetables rather than fruit. It's very easy to unwrap a couple of satsumas because you can have them in your bag. It's very easy to, like I do, I like raspberries. It's very easy to look at apples and pears and oranges in general. It's not so easy when you're tired to think about chopping up a Savoy cabbage or washing and chopping leeks and things like that. And the thing we've discovered this week is something called kaleets, which are a cross between broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and absolutely lovely.
Kale and Brussels sprouts.
Kale, sorry, and Brussels sprouts. And you can get a purple version or a green version, and they're really nice. But as I'm saying, it's much easier to grab and go a piece of fruit, isn't it? I mean, let's face it, fruit comes ready packaged. Apples in their skin, oranges in their skin or whatever. You've got to put a bit more thought, or I find I have to put a bit more thought into upping my vegetable intake. This was something we talked about in group, and people have done it this week, and some people are going to go forward to do it next week. And those people got good weight losses because, as Naomi said, If you up your fruit intake, you're upping your sugar intake, albeit a healthier source of sugar. So you're not eating refined sugars, but sucrose still counts. So for me, what I tend to do is three portions of fruit a day. I used to aim for 4 or 5, but I'm much more a 3 portions of fruit a day girl now. So yeah, that was really interesting in group. Joe's got a wee list of topics for me. He's my prompter again this week, so I'll ask him, where am I going from here, Joe?
We are going to... Have you done your mileage?
Oh, mileage, 42.92 this week, so we've reduced it again by 15 miles, because that's part of the overall plan. With my 2 A's, 2 B's, 10 sins, and 35 to 40 miles, so we didn't miss it by much this week. Yeah, that's been a good week for walking. It's been cold and fresh.
It isn't having goals that gets you out of being overweight. It is the consistent action and behaviour that you practice.
This is something that's really spoken to me in the latter part of my journey, but I think I wish I had thought about it earlier on. It's the right thing to have goals. I firmly believe that. But having a goal isn't enough. I can be a dreamer. I can set, amazing goals, but I'm a very lazy person, so I don't always take the action to get to those goals. And I know for a lot of people who've had quite substantial weight losses that they've planned to do it in 7 pound stages or half stone stages, and I did that to a certain extent until I got within the last 2 or 3 stone, and then I just did it 1 pound at a time. But I know for me today, it's the consistent way I choose to eat and the consistent way I always, and I'm emphasising the word always, I always stay on plan, that has got me to where I am and is keeping me where I am. I was relating this to Joe the other day and explaining, one of the things I would like to buy is a Mulberry handbag. And I often, or have often, looked at them in House of Fraser. And when you're looking at handbags between what, 9 and 12, £1,300, and Joe just thinks it's unbelievable because to a bloke a handbag's a handbag, isn't it? Doesn't matter whether you bought it on the market or what label it's got on it. But when I talk to Joe about, forking out £1,000 for a Mulberry handbag, he rolls his eyes and says, what a total waste of money. And for me today, to just go in there with your switch card and pay £1,000 for a handbag just seems obscene. Very nice if you've got one, and they are beautiful. They're beautifully made. But if I set myself a goal to buy myself a Mulberry handbag next Christmas, that's a nice goal to have. And I make a decision from today, this Saturday, to put away £20 every Saturday. By Christmas Eve, I would have £1,000. Now, I had the goal to buy the handbag, but I took the consistent action to get there, or I would take the consistent action to get there, or I may well take the consistent action to get there. But it's not having the goal that will get me that handbag. It's consistently saving the £20 a week, every week without fail, that will allow me to walk into a shop, purchase a Mulberry handbag and not feel the sting. And it's the same with weight loss. Managing your weight loss, managing being at target. It's got to be, for me today, consistent action, day after day after day. My mind never wanders into, oh, I'm getting weighed on Saturday morning, I can have a really off-piste afternoon on Saturday, or I can eat what I like, stuff my face and get back to it on Sunday morning. Or I'm planning a takeaway for Tuesday night. Wow, I can do SP Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't allow myself to think like that anymore. I stick to plan 24/7 and it works for me. It's taken all the stress, all the worry and all of the anxiety out of it. Stood in the queue at group this morning without a thought in my head about worrying, had I gained, had I lost, had I whatever. I stuck to my plan. I trust that enough to get on those scales, and I know I'll get the result I deserve. So consistency is a key. Next, Joe.
How my taste has changed.
Oh yes, now this is something that comes out of going out with Joe and his dad Richard yesterday. We went into Aldi and we did a kind of smaller than usual top-up type shop. And we share a trolley. We put our stuff in the back of the trolley and Richard puts his stuff in the front of the trolley, and we're going round, and I'm going to dob you in here, Richard. He buys cake, we don't. Yeah, he's not on Slimming World, he doesn't need to be. But yeah, Richard does observe what's in our trolley, and we've been together for 30 years. He knows what used to be in my trolley, and I think he's seen now by what I buy how I've achieved what I've achieved. Anyway, after we'd paid for our shopping and put it in the car, we went across the way to Costa for a coffee. And we sat down, and Joe had his usual Americano, Richard had his latte, and I had a skinny latte, which I can count. We're just having conversation and talking about, how the shopping basket had changed over the years. And I said to Richard, I can honestly say, if you were to say to me right now, Jane, you can have anything to eat that you want, from the chocolate cake you used to choose to the pork pie to the whatever. You can have absolutely anything to eat. Here we are, it's 11:45 on a Friday morning, what would you like? And my honest answer was, I don't want anything, I'm not hungry. And I think Richard nearly fell off his chair, because I never used to eat because I was hungry. I used to eat because I was a compulsive eating machine. I didn't need to be hungry. It was enough that I was bored and I would eat. It was enough that I was peed off with somebody and I would eat. It was enough that I was not chewing something that made me want to chew something and eat. It never mattered whether I was hungry, whether I was satisfied. I just ate. And I actually truthfully meant it when I said, I don't want anything, I'm not hungry. And today it's such a different place to live when hunger actually comes into it, when I realise that on occasions I am tempted to eat compulsively, when I realise that on occasions I'm tempted to eat for emotional reasons, and I can recognise those things and I can stop it today. And it's all part of this journey, isn't it? It's part of aiming towards the goal of getting to Target, and then, staying around that goal and staying with Target. And I have to recognise a lot of this has been changed because I've been prepared to let go of things that I used to be obsessed with. I used to be obsessed with, my pork pie stories. I used to be obsessed with sweet food. But I couldn't buy a packet of biscuits and have a cup of tea and a biscuit or 2 biscuits. I ate the packet. I couldn't walk down that first aisle in Aldi where all the biscuits and the cakes and the breads and the chocolate and stuff is without having to half fill my trolley. Our shopping doesn't start in that aisle this week. Our shopping starts in the fruit and veg section and then moves on to meat and fish. We just walk straight by all that other stuff. And I don't feel deprived. And I honestly believe today that because the way I eat has evolved and changed so much, that I have actually mended all the problems I used to have with my gut. I was always bloated. I used to get dreadful yeast infections and thrush. And now I can relate a lot of that back to the way I ate, because my stomach was always overloaded with sugar. Sugar feeds yeast. Because I don't eat in that way anymore, I firmly believe that my gut bacteria is in a totally different state. Now, Joe could probably correct me because I'm not medically trained and he's not, but he knows more about these things than I do. I believe that you need around 85% of healthy gut flora, if that's the right word, to 15% of the unhealthy, if that's the right word. Forgive me again if you're watching this and you are medically trained. If you've got that 85% of healthy gut flora, your body can react so much better to what you're eating. But I know for a fact I never had that healthy gut bacteria, and then continually pouring sugars into it just kept it unhealthy. And because today I think by refining the way I eat, I've corrected that balance, but not knowingly corrected that balance, that I am functioning not just in the gut, but in the whole of my body in a much healthier way. And I know something I learned this week which really did surprise me. I had a vague understanding of what serotonin was. Now, serotonin, I believe, is something that affects your mood. In my naivety, I believed that serotonin was something that came solely from my brain. But I learned this week that my gut produces more serotonin than my brain produces. So actually having a gut that is in a healthy state, I believe today, and as I say, I'm not trained in these things, but I'm talking about the way my body reacts today. I believe that having that healthier gut has improved my mood tenfold. Because I always used to rely on Prozac to improve my mood. Well, I relied on it for 14 and a half years, maximum dose. Today, I rely on the food I eat and the quality of the food I eat for my health. And that in turn has improved my mood. And I cannot tell you the happy person I am today. And Joe will say to me sometimes, calm down for God's sake, Mother, you're high. But it isn't. I just feel so well. And I love to feel this way. I go to bed at night and I sleep well. I get up in the morning, I feel alert and alive. And I know today that this is because of Slimming World getting me to realise that what I eat is important, the quantities of what I eat is important, and sticking with it, sticking to plan, staying to group and being on this 100% of the time, not for me hopping on and off it the way I used to. So yeah, I am so grateful today to Slimming World for getting me where I am. Is that what I had on my list, Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the quality of your food is important as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, from anybody who's watched our last two Aldi food hauls, and one of the things that we do try to focus on where we can and within reason is organic food. And I know my dad would have said if he was listening to me now, oh, for God's sake, girl, you're off on a fad. My dad didn't believe in organic food. And that always surprised me because he was a man who grew a lot of his own vegetables over the years. But Dad, if you're up in heaven listening to me today, I'm sorry. As usual, Dad, I disagree with you. And I found this works for me. Organic food tastes better. And I'm going to be bold and say that. I believe organic food tastes better. And wherever I can get away from the stuff that they spray on food and the stuff that they add to soils these days to try and re-energise the dead soil, then I'm going to do it. I'm not asking anybody else to do it with me. I'm not forcing my opinions on anybody other than I'm definitely saying it works for me. And it isn't one size fits all. You may believe something very different. You may practice something very different. And I respect that. But for Joe and I today, it's working, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
And when I can shop in Aldi and buy organic produce, the quality that they're selling at the prices they're selling, and for us, I mean, we've got a really, really big Sainsbury's not too far away, and we can't knock it. We live almost in a Asda hypermarket car park. We're close enough to spit, aren't we, Joe, to an Asda hypermarket car park. We don't buy very much fruit and veg in Asda because we find Asda expensive and they don't have the choice that Sainsbury's have. We're Sainsbury's and Aldi fans. Our Sainsbury's has some of the best reduced offers on fruit and veg that we've ever seen in any supermarket. And it blows our mind because you can pick up organic reduced vegetables in Sainsbury's that still have 3 or 4 days on them. We can pick up some good stuff in Tesco's, but it's usually on today's date. But the number of times we've gone into Sainsbury's, and I'm not lying or exaggerating, we did it 3 weeks ago. We got £55 worth of fruit and veg and organic meat and fish that was almost all on reduced stickers. all had at least 3 days left on the use by date. We got £55 worth of stuff for 28 quid. You can't refuse it. So, yeah, organic for us where we can. Where we can't, we just buy the best quality we can find. So, we're blessed. We're blessed with the quality of food we eat. And I think I might go, well, tonight we've got lamb for dinner. Waitrose extra trimmed lamb and
New Zealand lamb.
New Zealand lamb, yeah. Extra trimmed, not a gram of fat on it. So I'm doing my best with what I can do today and it's paying dividends. I have never ever felt so well in my entire life. I've been full of cold all week, but it hasn't got me down at all because I don't feel ill. I've just got a bit of a head, you know, when you've got that sort of sinusy feeling and you sound a bit nasally, but I genuinely do not feel ill. Hasn't stopped me walking, hasn't stopped me doing my housework, hasn't stopped me being enthusiastic about everything this week. You know, just feel great. Right, I'm going to move on to the giveaway. I have it here, all, is that shown on camera?
Yeah.
Neatly packaged and awaiting the address of the winner. I'm even proud of the way I packaged it up this week. Getting good at this. Joe has found a website. Now remind me what it's called, Joe.
It's called randomcommentpicker.com.
randomcommentpicker.com. So if anybody wants to check it out, that's what we're using today. A little story here. Another one of my little stories. I get a substantial number of comments on my videos, which are all really appreciated. Because I'm blind, what we've been doing for the past year, and it is a year today, isn't it, is I have to wait until Joe's got time on his hands and get Joe to read through the comments for me and then answer them for me. I would dictate the answers to Joe and he would type them in for me. And we genuinely don't have the time that we used to, and sometimes I felt these were getting neglected, and I never want to look like or feel like I'm ignoring anybody's kind comments or questions. So this week, I mean, Joe in his generosity bought me a Bluetooth keyboard for my, is it down there, Joe?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Here is my little Bluetooth keyboard. Now, you're probably all familiar with these things, but I'm an IT idiot, IT inadequate. I can type, but I know very little about, you know, all these different things. But I've got an iPhone, I've got an iPad. So Joe bought me a little Bluetooth keyboard and has linked it to my iPad so I can now pick up my own messages and answer them myself. It also has given me the freedom to put comments on other people's videos, which I've wanted to do for a long time and just not been able to. Occasionally I'd remember and ask Joe to do it, but it's nice to be independent. So on, I think it was Wednesday, Joe said to me, right, I'm going to switch this keyboard on, I'm going to show you how to do it, get on with it. He showed me, he stood over me for a few minutes.
A few minutes?
Yeah.
It's a few hours teaching you.
No, it took about an hour to teach me how to do it and keep
Well, that's
reminding
plenty
me.
of minutes.
Well, yeah, reminding me of the process. When I was doing it, he was
Couple
standing
of
behind
minutes.
me. Stop taking all my credit, or I'll thump
You
you.
just showed me for a couple of minutes.
Ignore him, please. Anyway, he showed me how to do it, and then when he was confident that I was doing it okay on, is it the Studio app
Yeah.
that I use? When he was confident I was doing it okay, he buzzed off and got on with some of his jobs and left me to it. Excuse me. What he didn't say to me at the beginning was, you have 153 comments to answer. It took me 5 hours. That's because I waffle on there as well. Anyway, I did it. And I was really chuffed with myself. So that's something. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Not as quickly as you used to be able to, because I don't learn as quickly as I did 10 or 15 years ago, but I've mastered it. So that's been a great help this week. So I've answered all the comments this week and told everybody you're in the draw. If I've put anything odd or weird, bear with me, I'll get better at this. Right, so Joe's found this website, the random selector thingy. We're going to use that. You put in the video that you want to randomly select on. It picks up all the comments. So everybody who commented, as I've said on the comments, you're in the draw. and Joe is going to come on camera where you can see what he's doing and randomly select a winner for this package.
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready to shop?
I'm not in shop, but my iPad is.
Good.
Right.
Here we go.
The winner is Helen Lord.
Helen Lord.
And she says, another great vlog, Jane. Well done on your walking this week. My favourite drinks are chicken oxo, Ribena winter spice and cherry Pepsi Max. Have a good week. Kiss, kiss.
Bless you, Helen. There you go. If you can send me an email on my email address, which we will find on my channel, I will put this package in the post to you early in the week. Congratulations. Thanks for everybody who took part. It's so encouraging and it's such fun to be able to do it. So hopefully, yeah, it won't be too long before we do another one, Joe.
Yeah.
We'll plan another one. It's great fun. And it's a way that we can show our appreciation for your support and encouragement. Thanks for being there. Another great week planned ahead, and planning is key. I was reminded of that this morning in group. Planning is key. Have a great week, all of you. And remember, it works if you work it. It won't if you don't. Cheers.